Okay, so in this lesson we are going to learn about almost all the systems in the human body. That means in grade 10 you have learned only about the human reproductive system. So in this lesson you will learn about the human digestive system, respiratory system, excretory system, and then the circulatory system about blood and lymph. Then you will learn about the endocrine system, the hormonal coordination, then nervous coordination. Then you will learn about homeostasis even, right? So that means everything about the human body will be, everything means about all the systems in the human body you will learn, you will get a surface knowledge, right? If you are doing A-level biology, you will be able to learn more deeper than that. කනේ A-level results ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. අයියලා අක්කලා. You will get results according to your commitment, right? අනිවාර්යෙන් වෙන්න එපානේ. It is obvious, right? So did you see some students, I am not mentioning that it is correct or එහෙම කියන්න දෙයක් ඒක හරි කියලා හරි වැරදි කියලා හරි කියන්න නෙමෙයි කියන්නේ examples අර කොච්චර මහන්සි වෙනවද කියලා කියන්නේ අර එක ළමෙක් දැක්ක නේද ඒ අවුරුද්දේ මේ වල O level ලියලා ඒ අවුරුද්දේම නොවැම්බර් වල A level ලියලා 3As අරන් තිබුණා මේ වල O level ඉවර වෙලා ඒ අවුරුද්දේම නොවැම්බර් bioscience right. ඉතින් ඒ කමිට්මන්ට් මම කියන්නේ එකෙන් ඔයාලටත් එහෙම කරන්න කියලා ඒක ගැන එක එක ආගියුමන්ට්ස් තියෙනවා. The students should be given the childhood, they should be given the time for all these 13 years එහෙම කියලා ආගියුමන්ට් එකකුත් තියෙනවා. ඒක කමක් නැහැ. අවුරුද්දක් කලින් කරනවා කියන එකද එහෙම නෙවෙයි. ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන දේ හරියට කරන්න ඕනේ. Your commitment should be there, right? Then at the end you all will be happy. හරිද? ඉතින් ජීවිතය කියන්නේ එහෙම තමයි. ඉතින් මහන්සි වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ දෙයක් ලබා ගන්න එක ස්ටේජ් එකකට යනවා. ඊට පස්සේ එතෙන්ට ගියාම තව ටාගට් එකක් පේනවා. ඉතින් එතෙන්ට යන්න try කරනවා. That is life, right? But you have to enjoy every moment. නැත්තම් හැමදාම අපි ඉස්සරහා තියෙන දෙයක් ගැන හිතලානේ සතුට කියලා දෙයක් තියෙනවනේ මේ වෙලාවේනේ. මේ වෙලාවේ you have to enjoy what you are doing. මේ වෙලාවේ මට තියෙන දේවල් ගැන මං ඉන්න කන්ඩිෂන් එක ගැන ඔගොල්ලෝ ගැන හිතන්න ඕන මං ගැන නෙමෙයි. හරිද? මං කියන්නේ මේ ඔගොල්ලෝ. මම මේ වෙලාවේ ඉන්න කන්ඩිෂන් එක ගැන ඔයාලා සතුටු වෙන්න ඕනේ. හරිද? මොනවාද අඩුපාඩු හදාගන්න තියෙන. හරිද? ඒවා දවස ගානේ නිවැරදි කරගන්න ඕනේ. එකපාරට ඔක්කොම වැරදි හදාගන්නත් බෑ. ටික ටික හරි ගස්ස ගන්න ඕනේ දේවල් තියෙනවා. right? එතකොට දැන් මට තව O level exam එකට දවස් කොච්චර කාලයක් තියෙනවද? එතකොට ඒ කාලය ඇතුළත මම මොනවද වෙනස් කරගන්න ඕනේ දේවල් ඉක්මනින්. මොනවාද මගේ අඩුපාඩු වැඩිපුර නිදා ගන්නවද? කම්මැලි හිතෙනවද? එහෙනම් මම ඒක නැති කරගන්න ඕනේ. මම අර results එන දවස මතක් කරගන්න ඕනේ. නේද? results එනකොට screen එක ඉස්සරහා ගෙදර හැමෝම බලන් ඉන්න විදිහ මතක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. So it is not the end of life, but it is a particular milestone in your life, නේද? එකකින් ඔය හැමදේම ඉවර වෙන්නේ නැහැ. But you are doing the work at this moment. දැන් මේ අද වැස්සද දවසකත් නේද? පොඩ්ඩක් නිදා ගන්න සැපට ඉන්න පුළුවන් වෙලාවේ ක්ලාස් එකක වාඩි වෙලා ඉන්නේ මොකක් හරි දෙයක් ලබා ගන්නනේ නේද? එතකොට මම ඒ වෙනුවෙන් වැඩ කරන්න ඕනේ. නැත්තම් මට මේ වෙලාවේ ඇති වැඩකුත් නැහැ. නේද? මං ගත කරපු කාලෙම වැඩකුත් නැහැ. වියදම් කරපු සල්ලි වලින් වැඩකුත් නැහැ. වෙන්න බෑ. හරිද? මං මේ ගත කරන කාලෙට අම්මා තාත්තා වියදම් කරන මුදල් වලට උපරිම සාධාරණයක් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඉතින් ඒකට මම මේ මොහොත කැප කරනවා. ඉතින් ඒක කැප කරනවා කියන්නේ මහා අමාරුවක් නෙවෙයිනේ. ඉතින් ඒක සතුටින් කරන්න. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ රිසල්ට්ස් ආවම හරි. එතන සතුටක් තියෙයි. ඊට පස්සේ ඊළඟට තව ටාගට් එකක් එනවා. දැන් හැමදාම අර ඈත තියෙන එක දිහා බලාගෙන අද සෆර් කරනවා නෙවෙයි. right? You have to enjoy life daily. At every moment you have to enjoy. right? මං අද දවස් හරි මේ වෙලාවේ මං අද රෑ නිදා ගන්න යනකොට සතුටු වෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. හරි අද දවස මම හොඳ විදිහට හිටියා. නේද? අද මට වැඩක් ඇති දේවල් ටිකක් කරගත්තා. මම මෙහෙම හොඳ වැඩ ටිකක් කළා. නේද? අද දවස හොඳයි. මගේ මෙහෙම අඩුපාඩු ටිකකුත් වුණා. ඊළඟ දවසේ ඒවා නොවෙන්න වැඩ කරන්න ඕනේ. අන්න එහෙම තියෙන්න ඕනේ. There should be a self reflection, right? Not only in light, self reflection should also be there, right? ඊට පස්සේ ඉතින් නැත්තම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතන්නේ දැන් අර සමහර අම්මලා තාත්තලාත් කියනවා අද මහන්සි වෙන්න දුක් විඳින්න එතකොට ඉස්සරහා හොඳ වෙයි ඔන්න එතකොට O level පාස් වෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ මහන්සි වෙනවා A level කරනවා අන්න A level results එනවා ඊට පස්සේ කැම්පස් ගිහිල්ලා මහන්සි වෙනවා එතකොට හොඳ ජොබ් එකක් හම්බෙයි එහෙම ඊට පස්සේ ජොබ් එකට ගියාම එතන මහන්සි වෙනවා එතකොට තව ඉස්සරහට ඒවා හිතනවා එහෙම නෙමෙයි ඉස්සරහට තියෙන දේවල් බල ඒතන සතුටක් හොයාගෙන යන්න නෙමෙයි මේ වෙලාව සතුට වෙන ගමන් ඒ ගමන යන්න ඕනේ නැත්තම් කවදාවත් සතුට වෙන්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ දැන් ඉස්සර අපි පොඩි කාලෙත් කිව්වා ඉස්කෝලේ යන එක තමයි අමාරු ජොබ් එකක් කරන එක ඒවත් හරි ලේසි එතකොට එහෙම කියලා තමයි අපිටත් හිතුනේ සමහර වෙලාවට දැන් හිතනවා අපෝ ඉස්කෝලේ යන්න තිබ්බනම් හොඳයි කියලා ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඔය කාලේ තමයි හොඳම හරිද මොකද මෙහෙම මොකුත් වෙන අයට වගේ කියන්න එහෙම දෙයක් නැහැනේ අම්මලා තාත්තලා දෙන දේ කාලා බීලා දෙන ඇඳුමක් ඇඳලා එහෙම රිලැක්ස් නේ ඒ නිසා ඒ සතුට ඈත තියෙන දෙයක් කියලා හිතාගෙන යන්න එපා ඒක හැමදාම ළඟ තියාගන්න එතකොට හැමදාම දවසක්ම සතුටින් ඉන්න පුළුවන් ඉස්සරහා තියෙන මගේ වැඩ ටික අද දවසේ හරියට කරනවා නම් මට සතුටු වෙන්න පුළුවන් දැන් කවදා හරි අනිත් යාළුවන්ගේ level results හරි O level results හරි බලලා දුක් වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ මම මහන්සි වුණා නම් හරි මගේ මහන්සියට ප්‍රතිඵල හම්බ වෙලා that's it then you will be happy හරිද ඒ නිසා හිතාගෙන වැඩ කරන්න ටාගට් එකක් තියාගන්න ජීවිතේ අර ඔහේ යන්න එපා අම්මා කියනවා මේ ක්ලාස් එකට යන්න අම්මා කියනවා හෙට ඉස්කෝලේ යන්න එහෙම කවුරුත් කියන නිසා නෙමෙයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට දැන් දැනෙන්න ඕනේ right you have to have the requirement you should have a particular target this is what I am going to be in another how many years we'll say 5 years right තව පහකින් මං මොන වගේ තැනකද ඉන්නේ නේලි කල්පනා කරන තව පහකින් දැන් තව මාස ගානකින් O level තියෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ එක එක pathways තෝරා ගන්නවා majority of are doing A levels some are going to some other courses without doing A levels එහෙම දැන් you have a wide range of opportunities ne this is a world full of opportunities right now but when we were schooling එතකොට තිබුණ එකම පාරයි හැමෝම කියන්නේ O level කරන්න A level කරන්න ඊට පස්සේ campus යන්න එහෙම හරි subject streams there were limited number of subject streams දැන් එහෙම නෙවෙයි ඕන තරම් දේවල් තියෙනවා right so according to your desire තමුන්ට ආසාව තියෙන්නත් ඕනේ ඊට පස්සේ උනන්දුව තියෙන්නත් ඕනේ උනන්දු උත්සාහය කැපවීම ඔක්කොම තියෙන්න ඕනේ ආස දේ කරන්නත් ඕනේ ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් I have seen I have met some of the even the doctors and the students ලා ඉන්නවා මේ ඒගොල්ලෝ ඇත්තටම ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න ආසාවෙන් හිටපු අය නෙවෙයි එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ අර parents ලාගේ කීමට bio science කරලා කොහොම හරි results උත් ඇවිල්ලා because they are talented right they have gone through the exams but then after that they don't enjoy their life ne ඒ නිසා හැමතිස්සෙම තමන් ආස දෙයක් වෙන්නත් ඕනේ right ආස දේ සහ අර තියෙන්නේ වදකට කියන්නේ yes what is it I can't mention I can't remember the name of the theory මට මතක නෑ අර yes So there is a Japanese term for that. I can't remember the English term for it. Ikigai කියලා කියන්නේ what you love. Yes, what the world needs and what you can be paid for, what you are good at, right? These are the things that you have to fulfill. What you love to do, what the world needs. All of these should, yes, overlap each other, right? Then only Ikigai is what you are going to do, what you are going to obtain, right? Your profession should be your passion, otherwise you will not enjoy, right? So in the case of me, I accidentally got a job at a bank, right? That is year 2005, 20 years back, right? So it was a very good position. It was a permanent job in one of the main banks. I think I did bioscience for A levels, so I hated that job, right? I continued for about, I think, less than 1 year. Then I went to the university. Since I got selected for the university, again a job එකම university selected that කලින්. ඉතින් හැමෝම කියනවා ෂෝක් නේ බැංක් එකක job එකක් ඉතින් ඒක වෙන කෙනෙකුට ෂෝක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, but for me it did not match, right? ඉතින් ඒ නිසා අර තමන් ආස දේ කරන්න ඕනේ නැත්තම් suffering, right? So ඒව ගැනත් හිතන්න දැන් මම චුට්ට හිතලා තියාගන්න මොනවටද මම ආස මම මොනවටද හොඳ, what is my passion, right? What are the areas in which I am good, right? ඒ ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙන තැනක් තමයි තෝරගන්න ඕනේ. ඒකට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට හොඳ අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා because there are so many subject combinations nowadays නේද? ඒක හරි හොඳ දෙයක්. ඉතින් ඒව ගැන පොඩක් දුරදිග හිතලා වැඩ කරන්න. දැන් සමහර ළමයින්ට ආස දෙක කරන්න බැරි වෙනවා. O level results අනුව A level in the A level stream there are certain restrictions. මේවා pass නැත්තම් මේක කරන්න දෙන්න බෑ. මේ subject එක O level වලට කරලා නැත්තම් A level කරන්න දෙන්න බෑ. එහෙම ඒවත් තියෙනවනේ. ඒ නිසායි කිව්වේ දැන් මම චුට්ටක් හිතලා තියාගන්න කියලා. ඉතින් හැම දෙයකම කරන දේ හරියට කරන්න මහන්සි වෙලා. right? කවවත් රවට්ටන්න දැන් parents ලට පේන්න උතන වාඩි වෙලා class එකේ ඉන්නවා වගේ හිටියා කියලා. it is මට පේන්න වැඩක් නැහැ. You have to get the maximum use out of it, right? Then only you will win. Okay. This one. So we will start with the human digestive system, right? 6.1. Hari. So what do you know about the digestive system? So the nutrition is a living characteristic, right? Matakada grade 6 characteristics of living organisms. Nutrition, we obtain materials as food, right? Those materials get digested inside our digestive tract and those digestive end products get absorbed into our bloodstream, right? Then those end products will react with oxygen inside the cells, especially in cells means in the mitochondria, in order to produce energy. That is cellular respiration, right? Cellular respiration. So digestion and respiration, these two are closely related. හැබැයි අපි කියන්නේ අපි කෑම කන්නේ අපිට energy ඕන නිසා කියලා. But two systems in the body are associated with that, right? We get food, food gets digested inside the digestive tract and the digestive end products are absorbed into blood. That is what happens inside the digestive system. Then in the respiratory system, the cellular respiration is the part in which these end products react with oxygen producing energy. Hari. So if we consider digestion, this is of two types, the mechanical digestion and chemical digestion. So Both of these two types of digestion initiates inside our mouth cavity, or what we call as the buccal cavity. Some people call this as the buccal cavity, BUCCAL, right? So there are salivary glands. There are 3 salivary glands in a buccal cavity. So they secrete saliva with enzymes. So enzymes are related with the chemical digestion, right? Then we chew the food by using the teeth basically, and the jaws become helpful. Then the palate becomes useful for that. So we break the large food particles into smaller pieces, right? Then that is mechanical digestion. So this happens even after that also, due to the movements of muscles. We call them as the peristaltic movements, right? Something like a grinding mechanism happens even inside the stomach. So that is mechanical digestion, right? So we are going to discuss what happens in each and every part of our digestive tract. So first we will watch a video related to that, and after that we will take one by one.
The human digestive system is very complex and has evolved over millions of years. It basically consists of the rectum, the large intestine, the small intestine, the pancreas, the stomach, also called gaster and ventriculus, and the liver with the gallbladder. The esophagus is also part of this system, as well as various salivary glands near the mouth. First, the food is broken up in the mouth by the teeth and then mixed with saliva with the help of the salivary glands. Saliva contains a digestive enzyme called amylase that already begins to digest carbohydrates in the mouth. It splits carbohydrates into smaller units. The ball-like mixture of food with saliva, also known as bolus, is pushed into the throat by the tongue, and finally into the esophagus, which propels the bolus to the stomach. The esophageal lumen, that is, the opening inside the esophagus, is very flexible, which allows boluses of different sizes to be transported. The esophagus consists of several layers. These layers occur throughout the entire digestive tract. The 2 outer muscle layers are responsible for peristalsis. Through these 2 muscles, the bolus can be transported from the mouth to the stomach, even if the person is standing on his head.
පිළියන්දල පහතුරුවෙන් ඉන් කොටසම ලක්ෂ 39 සිට
The stomach is often divided into 6 areas. The stomach is composed of a similar structure to the esophagus. It has a longitudinal muscle layer on the outside. Underneath, we can find circular muscle fibers. In addition to this, there is an oblique muscle layer overlaying the mucosa. On the inside, there are rugae that allow the stomach to enlarge when food is consumed. The stomach wall contains gastric glands. They produce mucus, which is able to protect the stomach wall from the secreted gastric acid. Gastric acid is produced by simply smelling or seeing food, but also spices, and the stretching of the stomach causes the secretion, that is, the release of gastric acid. About 1 to 2 liters of gastric juice are produced per day. Since the esophagus does not have a protective mucus layer like the stomach and esophagus are separated by a sphincter. It relaxes when a bolus is pushed from the esophagus into the stomach and then contracts to prevent acid and food from going back up. Gastric juice consists, among other things, of hydrochloric acid, the enzyme pepsin, the intrinsic factor, and lipase for the digestion of fat. In addition to nutrients, food also contains bacteria that can damage the body. The components of hydrochloric acid are able to destroy harmful bacteria. In addition, hydrochloric acid converts pepsinogen, also released by the gastric glands, into pepsin. Pepsin is able to break down proteins in the stomach. For a vitamin B12 absorption in the small intestine, the intrinsic factor is needed, which is produced by the gastric glands. The vitamin must combine with intrinsic factor, then it can be absorbed later by the small intestine. Vitamin B12 helps keep the body's nerve and blood cells healthy and helps make DNA. It also contains gastric lipase, an acid-resistant enzyme for fat digestion. In the stomach, gastric lipase splits a triglyceride into a free fatty acid and a diglyceride, whereby only the free fatty acid can be absorbed by the body. More effective fat digestion takes place in the small intestine. Through gastric juice and stomach movements, which take place approximately every 20 seconds, the individual boluses are mixed to a semi-fluid mass of partly digested food, the so-called chyme. The chyme cannot enter the duodenum at first because there is a sphincter at the stomach exit. The pyloric sphincter resembles the esophageal sphincter. The pyloric sphincter opens only a few millimeters, so that larger pieces remain inside the stomach. In the first section of the small intestine, the duodenum, bile, and pancreatic secretions are mixed with the chyme via the ampulla of Vater. Pancreatic juice contains numerous digestive proenzymes and enzymes. In order for these to do their job, a higher pH value than that in the stomach is necessary. For this reason, pancreatic juice contains sodium hydrogen carbonate. Hydrogen carbonate is able to neutralize the acid in the chyme and thus produce the optimum pH value of 7 or 8. Pancreatic juice also contains proenzymes. It is only through enterokinase, released by the duodenum wall, that the proenzyme trypsinogen becomes trypsin, which can split proteins and activate other trypsinogens. We also find alpha amylase, which we had already found in the mouth. It now does the rest regarding the splitting of carbohydrates, which it converts into maltose and isomaltose. Furthermore, pancreatic lipase is able to split triglycerides into two free fatty acids. The gastric lipase, as we have seen before, can produce only one free fatty acid. The pancreatic lipase can cleave triglycerides excellently because the bile breaks the fats down into tiny droplets. This is called emulsification. Numerous other enzymes are part of pancreatic juice, but these will not be explained in detail here. Bile is produced by the liver cells and transported to the gallbladder. The bile is stored in the gallbladder and finally added to the food in the duodenum via the ampulla of Vater. The pancreas also releases juice via the ampulla of Vater. The small intestine consists of three sections: duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. The ileum continues into the large intestine in the right lower abdomen. The duodenum and the jejunum have circular folds to increase the contact surface with the food. These circular folds extend about 1 centimeter into the lumen of the small intestine. These folds are covered with small finger-like projections called villi. Villi increase the surface considerably. Villi are about 1 millimeter long. Each villus contains blood capillaries and a lymphatic capillary called lacteal, which we will see later. The nutrients, marked green here, are absorbed by the villus and transferred to the blood capillaries. Some nutrients, such as glucose, do not require a carrier. They are transported freely in the bloodstream. Other nutrients, such as iron, require transport proteins like transferrin. Fats are transported by chylomicrons, which are lipoproteins. The triglycerides to be transported are virtually enclosed in the lipoprotein. Chylomicrons and triglycerides are then transported through the lacteal of the villus. Each villus is covered by even smaller microvilli. They multiply the intestinal surface considerably. The microvilli absorb nutrients and transport them to the inside. The last part of the small intestine is the ileum. It does not have, unlike the duodenum and jejunum, circular folds. The ileum absorbs electrolytes, such as calcium for building bones, hair, and teeth. Trace elements, such as zinc for sperm production and the immune system. Vitamins, such as B12, for the formation and maturation of red blood cells. And remaining bile acid, which is transported back to the liver via the bloodstream. As with the esophagus, the food is transported by peristalsis. In contrast, segmentation contractions serve to mix the chyme, which is shown here in yellow and red to make it easier to see the mixing process. The large intestine is thicker than the small intestine. It is about 1 meter long and surrounds the small intestine. The small intestine is connected to the large intestine via the Bowling's valve. It opens when chyme is to pass from the small intestine to the large intestine. The large intestine does not have any villi like the small intestine because most digestible substances have already been absorbed in the small intestine. However, the large intestine has an estimated 100 billion bacteria inside. They are important for many other tasks, such as the production of vitamins and the decomposition of fiber for the body's energy production. Many of these bacteria are an important part of the immune system by killing harmful germs. Through peristalsis, the chyme is transported from the ascending colon to the transverse colon to the descending colon. On its way through the large intestine, water is removed from the chyme. Furthermore, mucus is added for proper excretion of waste. Substances that cannot be absorbed through the small intestine or the large intestine remain in the rectum and are finally excreted through the anus.
Okay, that's the story. Let's see. So we'll get a beginning. Turn on your videos, please. So here it says biological processes in human body. First we are going to focus on digestion of food. Right. So we will summarize what happens during digestion and how it is related to the production of energy. Right? Hari. So nutrition means, in the process of nutrition, we obtain materials, obtain food. So in the digestive system, what happens? This food undergoes digestion, right? Digestion, and they come up with digestive end products like the carbohydrates end up with monosaccharides. Then proteins as amino acids, lipids, fatty acids and glycerol. The digestive end products are there. They are absorbed to blood, right? Yes, Shaneli, I saw your message. You also have got the marks, but in the same format of Nelly, right? Hari. ඉතින් අපි පුළුවන් තරම් උත්තර ලියමු ප්‍රශ්න වලට. මේ you have to practice, right? ඒ practice එක ඕනේ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම. ඒක ඉස්කෝලෙන් තමයි හොඳටම ගන්න පුළුවන්, because in the class also we don't අපි එක තැනකට ගෙනල්ලා පැය 3යි 1යි වාඩි කරවලා එහෙම කරන ඒ practice එක ගොඩක් වටිනවා. සමහර විට එක්සෑම් ලං වෙලා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තව තියයි මොකද්ද practice test එකක් වගේ තියන්නත් ඉඩ තියෙනවා නේ, in addition to the two upcoming term tests. Hari. So digestion, then the digestive end products. Digestive end products. So this is the overall process that happens inside the digestive system, right? Digestive system. Right? Then after that, those digestive end products react with oxygen, producing energy as the main product, energy. In addition to that, the carbon dioxide and water vapor are also released. So that is inside the respiratory system, right? Digestive end products reacting with oxygen producing energy, that happens in respiration, actually cellular respiration. Okay, Hari. So this is the summary. Take it down. So here it says the definition: the process by which the complex organic compounds are converted into simple organic products to be absorbed into the human body is called digestion. Then there are inorganic substances as well, no? Minerals, water, they don't get digested, they are absorbed as they are, right? Even the vitamins, which are organic substances, they don't undergo digestion, they are directly absorbed into blood. Another, vitamins, minerals, water, they are directly absorbed without a digestion. Carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, they undergo digestion. These are organic compounds, and they end up as organic compounds as well, complex organic compounds into simple organic products. Then you are asked what are the two types of digestion. So digestion is of two types, as I told you: mechanical digestion and chemical digestion. Mechanical digestion and chemical digestion. So in the case of mechanical digestion, I told you the physical nature of the food is affected, right? Physical nature is affected. That means the large pieces are broken into smaller particles. That is mechanical digestion. Then in the case of chemical digestion, insoluble complex compounds are converted into simple molecules with the help of enzymes, ගිය සතියේ ඇබ්සන්ට් වෙච්ච අය තාම රෙකෝඩින් එක බලලා නැත්නම් ඉක්මනින් බලලා ඉවර කරන්න. දැන් because of election you are getting holidays, then for Vesak you are getting holidays නේද? ඊට පස්සේ in August I think you are getting only 1 week's holiday. Then on November, due to A levels, we get 1 month holiday. November, the next holiday is for your O levels, right? ඒක ඔයාලට holiday එක හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. The others are having holidays because of your exam. Done? Then you are asked what are the nutrients that can be absorbed without digestion. Monada nutrients that can be absorbed without digestion. Yes. Among vitamins, minerals, then the simple sugars, glucose, fructose, galactose, simple sugars, they can be absorbed directly. But then the nutrients කියලා තියෙන නිසා we are not going to write water. You can say vitamins, minerals and simple sugars like glucose, fructose, galactose. හරිනේ? Finished? කොහොමද මට පේන්නේ නැහැ. තරුන්දී, වීණා, ඉලීෂා, යනුල්. ඉවරයිනේ? Human digestive system. Right. It is a single tube that runs from mouth to anus, single tubular structure, right, with two openings. What are the glands present in the digestive system? One other than glands. Yes, what are the glands available in the digestive system? Yes, in the buccal cavity or the buccal cavity, there are salivary glands, right? Salivary glands. Ilangata, what are the other glands available? Pancreas. Pancreas is an organ which has both an endocrine as well as an exocrine function. Endocrine gland means it secretes manada hormones. Endocrine. Ilang exocrine gland means it secretes enzymes. So pancreas secretes both enzymes and hormones. So it is also a gland, right? Then even the liver, you know, it is the second largest organ in our body. It also comes up with a particular secretion, that is bile. Bile is produced in the liver, right? Bile pitta kiyala kiyan in Sinhala, right? That is produced inside the liver, but it is stored inside another organ which is known as the gallbladder. Hari. What are the glands present in the digestive system? You can say salivary glands, Kheta Granthi, salivary glands, pancreas and liver. Pancreas කියන්නේ අග්න්‍යාශය. Then the liver. So what are the functions of the human digestive system? The functions, the digestion of food. Is there anything else? After the digestion, the digestive end products are absorbed into blood. Absorption of digestive end products, and also the undigested materials should be removed from the body. That is also a function, right? Hari. Then you can mention the functions. Digestion of food. Then number 2, absorption of digestive end products. Then number 3, removal of undigested materials. Hari. So the buccal cavity. So it is surrounded by muscular lips and the cheeks, right? The buccal cavity is surrounded by the muscular lips and the cheeks. You can fill in the blanks. It is surrounded by muscular lips and the cheeks. And made up of Lower and upper jaws. Lower and upper jaws. Jaw, jaw. Both jaws consist of what? Teeth. Both jaws consist of teeth. Balan check karala which jaw is movable. Yes, is it the upper jaw or the lower jaw? Balan iti move karala danna tam which jaw is movable. Yes. Only the hands up those who can move both jaws. Bene? Only the lower jaw is movable. Lower jaw is movable. Right. Only the lower jaw is movable. Then there are how many salivary glands? There are 3 salivary glands in the buccal cavity. Then what are the functions of the tongue? Yes, to feel the taste. Hari, on the tongue there are taste buds, right? There are taste buds. Is it the only function? Yes, tongue. It identifies the taste. Then to mix the food with saliva. When we are chewing, at the same instance, saliva is secreted by the salivary glands. In order to mix the food and saliva together, the tongue is very important, right? To mix the food. And can you swallow without the tongue? Just try to, when you are eating, just try to hold your tongue and try to swallow. Balan puluwanda kiyala. Hari amarui, right? You can't do it. You can't swallow the food without the help of the tongue, right? You have to have the support of your tongue, definitely. You know? Swallowing is also facilitated by the tongue. Then you can write the functions of the tongue. Number 1, identifying the taste. Identifying the taste of food. Mixing of food with saliva. Mixing of food with saliva. And swallowing. Swallowing. SWALLOW. Swallow. Hari. The next question we have discussed in grade 10 first unit. Why a sweet taste is sensed when we chew a piece of bread or some rice for some time. So how do you explain? Yes. Yes, Cheneli. How can you say? We can't hear, Cheneli. Now you are muted. Can't unmute. Shall I send to chat? Okay. Until you type the answer, we will ask from someone else then. You can type and send. Yes, Tavindra, any idea? Yes. Or any volunteer? No volunteers in grade 11, right? Volunteers are in 6, 7, 8 and less in 9. Atanuji says because amylase enzyme acts on starch in digestion. Hari. So what happens due to the action of amylase? How do you answer? Yes, there should be certain steps in your answer. Certain facts should be included. Yes, Tatsara, what do you say? Now this is in your question paper. How do you answer?
The carbohydrates in the piece of bread will break down into simple sugars due to the act of amylase, saliva amylase.
So he said carbohydrates. Shanelli has said because saliva contains amylase enzymes and the starch is converted into maltose, therefore giving a sweet taste. Hari. Answers keep I can make one, right? So carbohydrate, you can't say carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, once you say carbohydrates, there are monosaccharides, disaccharides and polysaccharides. All are carbohydrates, right? So all carbohydrates do not undergo digestion with the help of amylase, right? Bread or rice contains starch as a component, right? Then in the buccal cavity there are salivary glands, they secrete saliva. Saliva contains salivary amylase or ptyalin enzyme. So the starch in bread or rice gets converted into maltose, which is a disaccharide with the help of amylase enzyme. Therefore we feel a sweet taste. හරිනේ ඔක්කොම ටික තියෙනවා. මොනවාද කියවෙන්න ඕනේ? Rice or bread ඕන මම point wise දාන්නම්. ඔයගොල්ලෝ complete sentences ලියන්න ඕනේ. Rice or bread contains මොනවාද? Starch. The first point. එක ලකුණක් හම්බුණා. Starch. Then saliva is secreted by salivary glands. Salivary glands. එතකොට saliva contains salivary amylase or ptyalin. Salivary amylase or ptyalin enzyme. Right. Then this converts another. Starch into maltose. Amylase converts, salivary amylase converts starch into maltose, right? So maltose is a disaccharide. Maltose is a disaccharide. And a type of a sugar. Therefore we feel a sweet taste. හරිනේ ඔක්කොම ටික කියලා තියෙනවා. Then even a person who is not known about this can understand why does this happen. Okay, Yanul. Yanul innada?
Yes, miss.
Right. Then after the chemical and mechanical digestion in buccal cavity, the so formed, abhi mokadda kiyanne in the video you heard, what do you call after the mechanical digestion by chewing and then saliva is secreted, so the food is mixed with saliva. It is broken into small pieces and it is converted into a slimy ball, right? Which we call as, yes, it is known as the bolus. bolus is pushed towards the, yes, pushed towards the, now it was inside the buccal cavity and it is pushed towards the pharynx. Then we will see the parts of the human digestive system. Pharynx. Just finish this, then after that we will label the parts of the human digestive system. දැන් ඔයගලන්ට print කරලා දීලා තියෙනවා. when we were learning we had to draw the system. දැන් ඉස්කෝලේදීත් අඳින්න කිව්වොත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ photocopy හරි print out එකක් අරන් අලවන එකනේ නේ. But earlier we had to draw all these. Come අතින් ඇඳා. සමහර වෙලාවට පිට කවරෙත් ඇඳ මොකක් හරි system එකක්. අර ස්ටිකර් එක වෙනුවට සිස්ටම් එකක් ඇඳලා තිබුණා. හරිද? Then shall we move on? Right. So move on to the labeling part. Okay, you can see all the parts now. So it starts with the mouth cavity, or what we call as the buccal cavity. Here you can see. Then inside the mouth cavity, I told you there are 3 salivary glands, right? Salivary glands, and this is open to the pharynx. Here you can see the pharynx, which is a common chamber. Actually මේ මෙතන පෙන්නලා තියෙන්නේ. Here you can see a muscular lid like structure that is known as the epiglottis. දැන් මෙහෙමනේ තියෙන්නේ මේ බලන්න. So this is the digestive tract. මේ තියෙන්නේ, this is the digestive tract, and in front of it you can see the respiratory tract. දැන් මේ විදිහට extend වෙනවා. It is the respiratory tract. So the pharynx is a common chamber to both the digestive tract and the respiratory tract, right? So when we are swallowing food, the respiratory tract should be closed. නේද? නැත්නම් the food can enter into the respiratory tract. සමහර වෙලාවට වෙන්නේ අපි කියන්නේ පිට උගුරේ යනවා, ඉස්මොල්ලේ යනවා කියලා. එතකොට that happens most probably if we talk while eating, ne? That can happen. So when we are talking means the air should pass through the windpipe or the මොකද්ද? What is it? මේකට මොකද්ද කියන්නේ? There is the trachea, right? So this is the esophagus, which belongs to the digestive tract. So when we are swallowing food, the respiratory tract should be closed by this muscular lid-like structure, which is known as the epiglottis. මෙන්න මෙයා epiglottis වෙන්න ඕනේ, right? That is known as the epiglottis. In Sinhala we call this as ටිකක් අමාරු වචනයක් අපිජීවිකාව, right? Epiglottis. So then just below that, I think there is no arrow shown there. You can mark this point as the pharynx. That is the pharynx. Then you can find the esophagus, which is the pathway of the digestive tract from the mouth cavity to from the pharynx to the stomach, right? Esophagus. Right. Then I have mentioned this earlier. Here there is a muscular separation. That is known as the diaphragm. It separates the abdomen with the thorax, abdominal cavity, udara kuharaya, and thoracic cavity, ura kuharaya. These two are separated by this muscular structure which is known as the diaphragm. Right. So just අපි වෙනම මං හිතන්නේ මං ඔයිට කලිනුත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කියලා දීලා තියෙනවා. එහෙම තිබුණොත් if this is the diaphragm, මේ තියෙන diaphragm. So above the diaphragm there is the thorax, or නැත්නම් අපි කියනවා thoracic cavity කියලා. Below the diaphragm there is the abdomen or the abdominal cavity. So we find the rest of the organs belonging to the digestive system in the abdomen or the abdominal cavity, right? So now this is the pathway that the food flows from the mouth cavity through the pharynx, through the esophagus, then to the stomach, right? This is the stomach, which is like a muscular sac-like structure which can be expanded. ඒ කියන්නේ අර ගොඩක් කෑවහම බඩ ලොකු වෙන්නේ, right? It can be expanded. Sac එකක් වගේ, right? When the sac is filled, it gets expanded. Stomach. Then ඊට පස්සේ, so inside the stomach also there are certain muscular movements. In the esophagus also the bolus passes towards the stomach due to the peristaltic movements, muscular movements. So inside the stomach also, like a blender, due to the contractions and relaxations of muscles, the food is further mixed with digestive juices and all this. That is inside the stomach. Then after that the food passes to the small intestine. Here you can find a C-shaped part in the small intestine, right? That initial part of the small intestine is known as the duodenum, right? Duodenum, initial part of the small intestine. Then අපි main pathway එක ඉස්සලා බලලෙමු. So this is the initial part of the small intestine. මෙන්න මේ C අකුරක් වගේ පේනවනේ. ඊට පස්සේ මෙතනින් මෙන්න මෙහෙම open වෙලා තියෙනවා පෙනෙයි ඔයාලට. මෙන්න මෙහෙම තියෙනවා. This C-shaped part is the duodenum, that is the initial part of the small intestine, right? Then this small intestine is a long tubular structure which is about 7 meters in length, right? හිතා ගන්න පුළුවන්ද? 7 meters long tube inside our abdomen. That is only the small intestine, right? It is folded. Now here this is the small intestine. මෙතන එකක් මම ස්කිප් කළා, තාම ලේබල් කළේ නැහැ. මෙතන තියෙනවා දෙකක්, මෙතන එකක් තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ the small intestine, the highly convoluted tube, Then it is connected to the large intestine. Large intestine. It is not that long. It is about 1 meter in length. Large intestine. And at the place where the small intestine is connected to the large intestine, there is a small muscular projection which is known as the appendix, in which the function is not clearly known yet. But we know that it gets infected and the disease is known as appendicitis, right? Then this is the large intestine. Then it ends up with the rectum and finally the anus. Rectum and the anus. This is the main pathway, starting from the esophagus, stomach, duodenum, which is the initial part of the small intestine. Then the rest of the parts are known as jejunum and ileum. So all these are collectively known as the small intestine. Then the large intestine. Then it ends up with rectum and finally the anus. Hari. So this is the main pathway. Along this main pathway, there are certain other glands, right? One such gland is shown here, that is known as the pancreas. අපි මේ කැල්ල විතරක් ආයි අඳිමු. Pancreas. Then here this large organ on your right hand side in your abdomen, what is it? That is the liver on your right hand side, right? Liver. And this tiny organ on the liver, that is known as the gallbladder. Gall කියන්නේ GALL gall, GALLE නෙවෙයි, ගාල්ල නෙවෙයි, gallbladder, right? Gallbladder. So you should be able to draw and label the parts alone. Done? The labeling? Yes, Cheneli, Tavindra, Veena, Yanul, Sanha, Tenuji.
Yes, miss.
දැන් ඊළඟ සතිය වෙද්දී මේ කරපු ටික බලාගෙන එන්න. මොකද ඊට පස්සේ lessons 6th unit එකේ systems ඔක්කොම ඉවර වෙනකන් ඉන්න එපා. නැත්නම් නොවෙම්බර් වෙනකන් ඉන්න එපා. මේ ටික පාඩම් කරන්න. මේ ගමම්ම මම කිව්වේ ඔක්කොම systems you can take into about 2 A4 sheets. පොඩි summary එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් A4 sheets දෙකකට වගේ. right දෙපැත්තෙම ලිව්වොත්. එහෙම සමරයිස් කරලා ඉවර කරගන්න. අර තියාගන්න එපා, කල් දාන්න එපා. තව කල් තියෙනවා. ඔක තව digestive system එක තව පස්සේ පාඩම් කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම එපා. ඊළඟ සතියේ එනකොට දැන් මම කිව්වා මම 6th එකයි 9th එකයි එකට කරනවා කියලා. දැන් අද 9th එකට යන්නේ නැහැ. We'll do this one today. ඊට පස්සේ next week I will do both the 6th and 9th lessons together. ඉතින් ඉවර වෙන lesson එක ඔයගොල්ලෝ පාඩම් කරලා ඉවර කරගන්න. හරිද? කල් දාන්න එපා. Right. Then shall we move on? Then we have to mention about the esophagus. Hari. And now I am going to erase. Pharynx. Pharynx, this is common, this is a common area for both digestive tract and respiratory tract. Digestive tract and respiratory tract. Then you are asked what is the function of the epiglottis. Actually, if we consider a person, the nasal cavity, right, this is the nasal cavity, and then the mouth cavity or the buccal cavity, right. So, both of these are open to a common chamber which is known as the pharynx. Harida. So, when we are swallowing the food, now this is the trachea and this is the esophagus, right. When we are swallowing the food, what should happen? The respiratory tract should be closed. Respiratory tract should be closed. That is done by this movable structure which is known as the epiglottis. Right here, there is a common chamber and this is the movable structure. This is the epiglottis. So, this is the trachea or what we call as the windpipe, which belongs to the respiratory tract. Then this is the esophagus, which belongs to the digestive tract, right. So, this is the nasal cavity. From the nose, the air passes through this. Hari. After drawing this, we can mention the function of the epiglottis. It is a movable organ. It is a movable organ located just above the opening of trachea. The opening of trachea. The epiglottis moves down. The epiglottis moves down to close the opening of trachea. To close the opening of trachea. When swallowing the bolus, when swallowing the bolus. Hari. Then what happens when the bolus passes through the esophagus? ඉවරද ඇඳලා මේක? Finished? Not yet, no? Hari. Then esophagus. Esophagus is a constricted tube. Constricted. හැකිලිලා තියෙන්නේ. Right? How is food moved along the constricted tubule? Actually, this is a muscular structure. So the muscles are able to contract and relax. Due to the contractions and relaxations of the muscles of the esophagus, the bolus moves down. So we call these movements as the peristaltic movements. Peristaltic movements. The process is known as peristalsis. Peristalsis. Hari. So you can say like this, the bolus passes through the esophagus. This should be I. Esophagus. The bolus passes through the esophagus by contractions and relaxations of the wall of the esophagus. These movements are known as peristaltic movements. They provide the force for the bolus to move forward. Then on a bolus passes through the esophagus and reaches the stomach, which is a dilated sac-like organ. Then badagin rakilila තියෙන බඩන, right? A dilated sac-like organ. Due to the peristaltic activity of muscles, not only in the esophagus but also in the stomach also peristaltic movements occur, right? Because the stomach is also a muscular structure. Due to the peristaltic activity of muscles in the stomach wall, the bolus is broken down and mixed well into what? Yes, we call it as chyme. Yes, due to the peristaltic activity of muscles in the stomach, stomach wall, the bolus is broken down and mixed well into, we'll say, chyme. Right, it is mixed well into a semi-solid medium which is known as chyme, right. Several secretions ooze out into the stomach from the stomach wall. In the stomach wall, there are glands. So, these glands come up with certain secretions which are collectively known as the, yes, gastric juice. This is known as gastric juice, which is secreted by the wall of the stomach, gastric juice. So, this gastric juice consists of dilute hydrochloric acid, right, and also there is pepsin enzyme, pepsin is there, and there is another enzyme known as renin which is secreted in infants, because there is a period in which we depend only on mother's milk, right. So, that is enzyme renin is secreted during that period. Okay. And these are a collection of these is known as the gastric juice, dilute hydrochloric acid, enzyme pepsin and enzyme renin which is present in infants. So, why there is an acidic medium? Why a hydrochloric acid is secreted? Because that acidic medium is important for the activation of enzyme pepsin. Pepsin becomes activated in the presence of HCl, right? When the stomach is empty, it continues to contract. Empty when it is empty, it continues to contract. The stomach cannot decide what to be digested. Podi break එකක්වත් දෙන්න එකක් digest වෙගෙන එනකොට ඔන්න තව එකක් එනවා, right? You have to give a particular break for the stomach to decide what to be digested. හරි. දැන් මේ කියන්නේ එහෙම නෙමෙයි. ඔයගොල්ලෝ වගේ නෙමෙයි. When the stomach is empty, it continues to contract, right? It continues to contract. When the stomach is empty for a longer time period, the rate of contraction is also high. The contractions and relaxations occur faster. So, it causes a pain. Then we feel the hunger, right, due to the continuous contractions and relaxations of the wall, muscles of the stomach wall. It causes a pain, and that is known as, it gives a sense about hunger. Hunger is a signal that indicates the need of food, right? Hari. So, what are the components of methane CHY when known as CHYME, chyme, which are released into the proximal part of the small intestine, which is known as the duodenum? What are the components of chyme? Api HCl activates pepsin කියන එක ලිව්වේ නෑනේ. මෙතන අපි ලියා ගමුද? Here you can say hydrochloric acid activates pepsin. So, when pepsin is activated, what does it do? Due to the action of pepsin, proteins are converted into polypeptides. The protein digestion is not completed in the stomach, but a part of it is initiated. Proteins are converted into, yes, polypeptides due to the action of pepsin. converted into polypeptides in the presence of pepsin, right? Then I mentioned about renin, which is secreted in infants. It coagulates milk. කිරි කැටි ගැසීමට උදව් වෙනවා. Coagulates milk. ඔන්න එහෙනම් the carbohydrate digestion is initiated inside the mouth, buccal cavity. Protein digestion is initiated inside the stomach. හරිනේ? මතක තියාගන්න. What are the components of chyme? Now, the part of carbohydrates are digested, part of proteins are digested, right? Then අහන්නේ, what are the components of chyme which are released into the proximal part of the small intestine, which we call as the duodenum, right? Then මොනවාද තියෙන්නේ? There are digested carbohydrates as well as undigested carbohydrates. And you can say digested and undigested carbohydrates. මෙන්න මේවා තමයි දැන් යන්නේ small intestine එකට. Carbohydrates. Then tamanada, now part of the proteins are digested. Enang partially digested proteins. Partially digested proteins. What about lipids? Lipid digestion is not initiated yet. Neither undigested lipids. Undigested lipids. දැන් මේක කතන්දරයක් වගේ මතක තියාගන්න. එතකොට හරි ලේසි. Undigested lipids. Then what else? Then there are water, minerals, vitamins, water, minerals, vitamins. We are not, all these three are not going to be digested, but still they are passed to the small intestine, the initial part of the small intestine, which we call as the duodenum, that C-shaped part. මතකයි නේද? Then everything, all these things which are passed to the small intestine should be digested inside the small intestine, because digestion is completed inside the small intestine. Digestion ඉවර වෙනවා small intestine එකේදී. හරි බලමු කොහොමද වෙන්නේ කියලා. Sanha, next time please repair your camera, right, before you join the session. Hari, now I am going to erase small intestine. The small intestine is about 7 meters in length, so it is a convoluted tube. It is folded, right? The proximal part of the small intestine is C-shaped and known as duodenum. We mentioned it several times now. Duodenum. Right. The duct of the pancreas and the gallbladder opens into the duodenum via a single pore. අපි මේක ඇඳලා පෙන්නුවොත් දැන් මෙහෙමනේ. Now here there was the stomach. ඊට පස්සේ from the stomach we found a C-shaped part, that is the small duodenum, right? This is the stomach. And this is the duodenum, the initial part of the small intestine. ඊළඟට මතකද අර ඉස්සෙල්ලා ලේබල් කරපු ඩයග්‍රෑම් එකේ තිබුණා මෙන්න මේ හරියෙන් මෙන්න මෙහෙම එකක් ආවා, right? ඊළඟට here there was something like this. හරියෙන් අඳින්න. Something was opened to here and another organ was there. මෙන්න මෙහෙම එකක් තිබුණා. මෙන්න මෙහෙම එකක් මතකද? Right? This is the pancreas. This is the pancreas. Pancreas. And the secretions of the pancreas is taken through the pancreatic duct. මම කියවනේ pancreas has both endocrine and exocrine functions කියලා. So pancreas has an exocrine gland. Exocrine glands are known as ductless glands. ඒ කියන්නේ for the transportation of hormones there are no ducts. They are directly added to blood. Right? But the pancreas has both endocrine and exocrine functions. So as an endocrine gland, as an exocrine gland, the pancreas has a duct which is known as the pancreatic duct, which carries the pancreatic juice. So this is the pancreatic duct. මෙතන ඉන්නේ pancreatic duct. මෙතන තිබුණ organ එක මොකක්ද? What was the organ here attached to the liver? මතකද? What was it? Gallbladder. So the liver produces bile. That bile is stored inside the gallbladder, right? Then the bile is transported through the bile duct. Bile duct. මම මේ color එකකින් අන්දොත් ඔයාලට පෙනෙයිද? මෙන්න මේක. This is the bile duct. පෙනුණාද? මම මේ නිල් පාටින් මෙහෙම පහළට ඇඳලා තියෙන්නේ. That is the bile duct. Right? So you can see both the pancreatic duct and the bile duct get connected and they get open to the duodenum. They get open to the duodenum through a single opening. මේ ducts දෙන්නම combine වෙනවා. මගදික දෙන්න එකතු වෙලා එක duct එකක් විදිහට තමයි it is open to the duodenum. Right? Okay. So the pancreatic duct carries the pancreatic juice. Bile duct carries bile. Right? Both of these are open to the duodenum, which is the initial part of the small intestine. Right? The rest two parts of the small intestine, අපි මෙහෙම ලියමු, parts of the small intestine. Number 1, duodenum. Then the next part is known as the jejunum. Then the third part is known as the ileum. Right? Ileum. Duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Right? Just draw that. done? හරි නේ? ඉතින් ඊට පස්සේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? So the digestion should be completed inside the small intestine. Shall I clear the things? Hari. You are asked to name the components of the pancreatic juice. ඊට කලින් අපි මෙතන ලියා ගමු. The pancreatic duct carries pancreatic juice. Pancreatic duct carries pancreatic juice. Right? Then the liver produces bile. Liver produces bile. And it is stored in the gallbladder. It is stored in the gallbladder. Bile duct carries bile. Liver produces bile, it is stored in the gallbladder. Then the bile duct takes this bile towards the small intestine. ඊට පස්සේ අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් what are the components in the pancreatic juice? There are three main enzymes: trypsin, amylase and lipase. Trypsin, amylase and lipase. Trypsin, amylase and lipase. All these three are enzymes, right? The pancreatic juice consists of these three enzymes: trypsin, amylase and lipase. මෙතන මම දීලා තියෙනවා bile is produced in the liver and it is stored in the gallbladder. දැන් අම්මෝ මොනවද මේ නම් මොනවද මේ enzymes එක ඒවා කියනවා කියලා එහෙම නැතුව මේ just study those. දැන් හෙට නිවාඩුවක් එහෙම තියෙනවනේ. I think just study those and remember. Let's remember like a story. So at the end of the digestive system that story is over. And another chapter, respiratory system. Hari. So what does the bile contain? Bile contains bile pigments. If you can remember, when you, especially when you were small, when you vomit, it has a somewhat light green color sometimes. That is because of these bile pigments, right? So because of the bile pigments, even the fecal matter gets a color, right? Bile pigments, and it consists of bile salts. There are bicarbonate ions and water. So this bile acts as an emulsifier actually. Again, then we know that water and oil does not get mixed neither, but in our food both water and oily component are there. So this bile mix with the food and it facilitates the mixing of this oily and watery component. The lipids are broken into small droplets and this with the help of bile. So this process is known as emulsification. Even in some of the food items, as the ingredients they mention emulsifiers. Balana in the food packaging they mention as ingredients. Oh balana ned. Kala ivara karana misa. Balana as ingredients they have mentioned in some of the food items, or biscuits again, emulsifiers kiyala, right? So they have added emulsifiers. In our digestive system, the bile acts as an emulsifier, right? name the components of bile. එහෙනම් ලියන්න bile pigments වර්ණක bile pigments bile salts, bicarbonate ions and water. Bicarbonate ions and water. We'll do up to the 5th question, right? Because I have to give a small break before starting the paper class. So what is the function of bile? We can say emulsification. හරි ඒ මොකක්ද කියලා ලියමු. Emulsification, it means bile mixes with food. And as a result, lipids are broken into small droplets. Hari. Then name the importance of emulsification. So since the lipids are broken into small droplets, now rather than a large droplet, they are broken into small droplets. Then the enzymes get more surface area to act on these. More surface area for the enzymes to act on these. Right, that is the importance of emulsification. The enzymes get a larger surface area to act on lipids. Okay, so 5th one, it asks name the importance of emulsification. You can say the enzymes get a larger surface area to act on lipid containing food. Hari. එතකොට අපි තාම mention කළේ නැහැ what happens by the pancreatic enzymes, right? එකෙන් වෙන digestion කියන කිව්වේ නැහැ. ඊළඟට මම අහලා තියෙනවා intestinal juice, what are the enzymes present? And after that the digestion carried out by these enzymes. Due to action of pancreatic juice, what happens due to the action of intestinal juice, right? And please study means revise these things that we learned today. I will share the video that we watched. Watch it once again, then it will be helpful for you to remember the things, because none of us have seen inside the body, what happens inside. එනිසා ඒක animation එකක් විදිහට ඒක බැලුවාම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මතක තියාගන්න ලේසි මොකක්ද මේ වෙන්නේ කියලා. The internal structure and functioning both. Hari. So you can have a small break, and after that we will move on to the paper class. See you on next week then with the theory class, right? Okay, stay safe and good night.